Guys, good morning. So we're starting the microbiology question bank, right? So now listen carefully. If you studied enough, you're supposed to answer everything, in the questions. And these questions are there, like some of the questions. I wouldn't say the majority, but all of the questions so far that came to the past papers are most probably are there, right? And the questions that will be coming and that there's a higher chance of coming for the next paper is also here, right? So number of questions are there, and I'll be giving much more. I'll be discussing them. So now listen carefully and try to remember all the theories, and try to remember how sort of a question can come to you, and like have a proper knowledge, proper understanding that for what extent you should remember the theories, what will be the questions that will be asking, and how should you be preparing for the exam, right? So starting from the first question, microbiology, right? So as the question says, first one, choose the correct statement about the microorganisms. So this is something that we study in the very first part of the microbiology tutor, right? So right, first one, choose the correct statement about microorganisms, right? Choose the correct statement about microorganisms. First one, all exhibit aerobic respiration. That is wrong, right? Not all exhibit aerobic respiration. Second, all show a heterogeneous nutritional system. No, that is also wrong. All are invisible to the naked eye. Well, that's the point, because the definition itself says they are invisible, right? Cannot be seen through naked eye. So there is, hopefully we can take it as correct. All have the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen. No, that is wrong. All shows a prokaryotic organization. That is also wrong, right? So the correct answer is right. All are invisible to the naked eye, and this is the very first theory of the tute, right? Right. Second question, meet nutritional needs using an inorganic carbon source and chemical energy taken. Right. So two of the things are there to consider, right? Meet nutritional needs using inorganic carbon and chemical energy. So two of the things are there, energy and carbon. So now chemical energies, there is chemical energy, and inorganic carbon is the carbon resource. So if it is inorganic carbon, it's a autotroph, right? As we discussed, two of the carbon resources are there, organic and inorganic. The inorganic carbon resource itself is carbon dioxide, and if someone is using carbon dioxide as the inorganic carbon resource, that is that is for producing food, and they are called the autotrophs, right? So it's autotroph, and their energy resource, two of the energy resources are there. One is photo, which is the energy of light. The other one is chemical. Now this is chemical energy. So chemo autotroph, right? So the chemo autotrophs that we know are only two. What are the two chemo autotrophs that we know? One is nitrosomonas, the other one is nitrobacter, right? So either one of them. So the nitrosomonas is already there. So the answer is actually 1, right? Answer is 1. Third question, the omnipresence of microorganisms is not caused by. The omnipresence we discussed, the omnipresence is the microorganisms being available in all of the parts of the biosphere, right? They're everywhere in the biosphere. So that availability, that's there everywhere in the biosphere, is called the omnipresence. They can be found anywhere, right? And the reasons we discussed, there were 5 reasons. So out of those reasons we have to answer. Being very small in size is correct. That is one of the omnipresence characters. The omnipresence of microorganisms, not caused by they're asking. Being very small in size is a cause. Wide morphological and physiological diversity is a cause. Rapid growth and reproduction ability is a cause. Nutritional diversity is also a cause. The presence of prokaryotic organization, no. That wasn't taken as a cause of omnipresence. There are only 5 factors, right? There were only 5 factors affecting the omnipresence, so that was only one of it, right? This wasn't there, right? This wasn't there, like there were 5, so this wasn't there, so that is the answer. 4th question, a similarity between bacteria and fungi, right? A similarity, like when it comes to the bacteria and fungi, they are much more different than each other, because bacteria are prokaryotes and the fungi are eukaryotes, but still they have some similarities, and you'll have to find that similarity, right? So first answer is the presence of peptidoglycan in cell walls. No, the bacteria have peptidoglycan and the fungus have chitin, right? Showing prokaryotic cell organization, the bacteria shows it and the fungi doesn't, right? All are heterotrophic. Well, all of the fungi are heterotrophic, but majority of the bacteria are heterotrophic as well, but not all of the bacteria are heterotrophic, right? They show almost all the 4 types of nutrition, right? Ability to secrete enzyme extracellularly. Yeah, so this is something coming related to this, right? So we discussed this part in the theory, that there are 2 types of digestion, extracellular digestion and intracellular digestion. So under the extracellular digestion, we discussed that they secrete the enzyme outside the cell and digestion happens outside, and they absorb the nutrients into the cell, and that is you call the extracellular digestion. And the microorganism who does that is fungus and bacteria, right? That is fungi and bacteria, right? So yeah, this is correct answer, right? Multicellular, no, none of the bacteria are multicellular. Some of the bacteria, some of the fungi have multicellular structures, yeah, but not all of the bacteria. So this is the common, right? 4th answer. Eukaryotic heterotrophic organisms are, should be eukaryotic, which means they have organized nucleus. Heterotrophic should be heterotrophic organisms. Like 2 of the heterotrophic eukaryotic organisms are there. One is Protista, the other one is fungi, right? They are the main heterotrophic eukaryotic organisms, right? So Acetobacter is one of the bacteria that is a prokaryote, so no. Mucus is one of the fungi, so he is heterotrophic and eukaryotic as well. It is, yeah. So Nostoc is one of the algae. They reproduce, so they are not heterotrophic, they are autotrophic. Chlamydomonas is one of the protistas, and it's producing foods, so not heterotrophic. Amoeba, yes, amoeba is one of the protists, and it's eukaryotic and heterotrophic, right? So the answer is supposed to be B and E, B and E. Don't know B and E, I is there, right? 4. 6th question, an example of chemosynthetic bacterium. Chemosynthetic, which means they chemically synthesize, right? So chemosynthetic synthetic bacteria, right? There's only one, like there's only 2 examples were there, as we discussed earlier as well. Like chemosynthetic simply means chemoautotrophs. Synthetic means they produce by themselves, right? So it's chemoautotrophs, and 2 of the chemoautotrophs are there, and they are who? The Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. So the answer is supposed to be 1. Which process in the nitrogen cycle is carried out only by chemosynthetic bacteria, right? So in, like, this is also important word. The chemosynthetic bacteria are there in the nitrogen cycle as well, and they are converting ammonium ions into nitrites and then into nitrates in an order. The first step is done by the Nitrosomonas, second step is done by the Nitrobacter, right? And this complete process you call as what? Nitrification. The complete process you call as nitrification, right? 8th question, which of the following is correct? All cyanobacteria are photosynthetic. Yes, that is correct. All fungi are filamentous. Well, unicellular ones are also there, right? Because yeast, if you take yeast, it's not filamentous, it's unicellular. It means like the whole body is one cell. But to be you know, filamentous, it has to have more cells, right? So this is wrong. They are asking for the correct one. So the first one is already correct. We'll see. All bacteria are heterotrophic. No, that is wrong. All microorganisms are prokaryotic. That is also wrong. All microorganisms belong to the kingdom bacteria. Wrong. Yeah. So the answer is 1, right? Answer is 1. Which of the following units of measurements is commonly used to indicate the size of viruses? So the virus part, I removed it from the theory because it's not there in the syllabus now, but for your knowledge, it's nanometers, right? Viruses are in the size of nanometers. Which group of microorganisms is most likely to be present in soil sample? In a soil sample, the majority are the ones who are decomposing the organic matter. 2 of the main microorganisms are there. If you break it into 3, Protista also is getting included, but if you break it into 2, the main 2 group of microorganisms that are present in soil are the bacteria and fungi, right? So the out of the fungi and bacteria, the most abundant type is bacteria. Actually, it's bacteria, right? Bacteria are the highest number of organisms that they are in soil is bacteria. 11. Process that does not take place in primary process of water treatment plant. So it's primary treatment, right? In the primary treatment, like this primary treatment, secondary treatment, and the tertiary treatment. In the primary treatment, what you do, you remove the floating waste, like the wood waste or any of the floating objects, could be anything. You remove it from the surface, that you fill the water into a tank, that is the sedimentation tank or the primary treatment tank. So in that tank you remove all the floating objects from the top, and there's another set of dirts that is sedimenting to the bottom, and that sedimented things are drained into the this digestive tank, right? That is what happens in the primary treatment plant. So removal of the floating debris, yeah, that is correct. Sending bottom sludge to the digester, yeah, that is correct. Removal of the sand, grease, yeah, can do. Sand, yes. Even the grease you can take it, remove from the top, right? Grease you remove from the top, the sand you remove from the bottom. 25 to 30% removal of organic matter, yeah, even that is correct. Yes. Aerobic microbial decomposition occurs? No. The aerobic microbial decomposition occurs only in the secondary treatment tank, right? It happens only in the secondary treatment tank. Right. So the answer is 5. Microorganisms are called organisms with prokaryotic organization, disease causing organisms, organisms that cannot be observed with the naked eye, organisms that show a parasitic mode of nutrition, and unicellular organism, right? So microorganisms are called organisms with prokaryotic, no. Disease causing, not all the time. Organisms that cannot be observed with the naked eye, yeah, that is the definition itself. Yes, that is definition. So yeah, that is the answer, right? Right, coming to the 13th question. A group of microbes with pronuclear, this is actually prokaryotic. Pronuclear in the sense prokaryotic, right? This is actually the prokaryotic, that it means, right? A group of microorganisms with prokaryotic organization, yeah, the bacteria, right? It's simple, it's bacteria. Like viruses are not considered as even livings, right? They are not even considered as living. Right, and the next question, 14th question, come to the 14th question. A characteristic property of viruses, this is out of the syllabus, but just for the knowledge, try to get a bit of the knowledge. A characteristic property of virus, showing a cellular organization, no, we don't consider them as cellular organization, they are called the particles. Being obligate parasites, yeah, that is correct. Containing membranous organelles, no. Detection of DNA and RNA, there is again and is wrong, because it's either DNA or RNA, like those DNA and RNA together cannot be stand inside a virus particle, right? It's either DNA or RNA, not both together. So this is also wrong. Observable by light microscopy, no, that is also wrong. So answer is 2. You just only don't have to remember that, but have some knowledge. Which of the following is not a characteristic of fungi? Is not a characteristic of fungi is the question, right? Chitin content in cell walls. Chitin content in cell walls, bro. Yeah, that is correct. The reserve food is glycogen, even that is correct. Finding unicellular and multicellular, yeah, that is correct. All are heterotrophic, even that is correct. Being pronuclear means prokaryotic. Prokaryotic, no, this is wrong. This is wrong, right? This is wrong. So answer is 5. Answer is 5. 5, fifth answer. 16th question, cannot be found in bacteria, right? So cannot be found in bacteria. Cell walls are composed of polymers. Yeah, it is there. Photosynthetic pigments is also there. Photosynthetic pigments are there. Membranous organelle. Yeah, it is also there. Reserve food. Reserve food. What do you understand by reserve food? Yeah, reserve food is there. Glycogen is the reserve food. Units of locomotion. Bro, I'm sorry, this is not there. Membranous organelles, not membrane. Like I just got the idea that membrane is there, not the plasma membrane they are calling. Membranous organelles, which means the organelles like mitochondria, the algae, the mitochondria, and the ER, then the Golgi apparatus, sort of membranous organelles are not there, right? Membranous organelles are not there. Well, this is therefore wrong, because none of the prokaryotic cells have membranous organelles, which is like organelles covered with the outer membrane, is not there in prokaryotes. It's only there in eukaryotic cells, right? 18th question. Eukaryotic, heterotrophic, unicellular and lacking a cell wall. This organism belongs to a group of, it should be eukaryotic, it should be eukaryotic, heterotrophic, unicellular and lacking cell wall. Okay, right? So bacteria, not eukaryotic, can't take. Unicellular algae, eukaryotic, not heterotrophic. Algae is not heterotrophic, so you can't take. Second, cyanobacteria, bacteria, eukaryotic, can't take. 4, protozoa, eukaryotic correct, heterotrophic correct, unicellular correct, lacking of cell wall correct. The answer is 4, right? The answer is 4. Right. 19th question. Nutritional requirement using an inorganic carbon source and an inorganic chemical provided. Right. So nutritioning using inorganic carbon means autotrophic. Yes. And chemical energy. Right. There is chemo, autotroph, and there is nitrosomonas and nitrobacter. Answer is 1, right? The source of energy and carbon is obtained from organic matter. Source of energy and carbon is obtained from organic matter. Source of energy and carbon is obtained from organic matter, which means energy is organic, which is chemical. Carbon is also organic, which means produced food. So it's a chemo heterotroph, right? It's a chemo heterotroph, right? This means chemo. This means heterotroph, right? So it's a chemo heterotroph. And the chemo heterotroph present here is not nitrosomonas, not purple non-sulfur, cyanobacteria. It's purple sulfur bacteria. Well, it's chemo heterotroph supposed to be, not nitrosomonas. It's a chemo autotroph. Purple sulfur bacteria is we didn't discuss purple sulfur bacteria under the nutrition. There is under the Yeah, right, we discussed this under the nutrition, and there is purple sulfur bacteria under the aerobic bacteria, right? Sorry, photoautotrophs. This is under the photoautotrophs. Second one is under the photoautotrophs. Purple non-sulfur bacteria are photoheterotrophs. And the fourth answer, cyanobacteria are somewhat photoautotrophs. And the fifth answer, Acetobacter, we didn't discuss Acetobacter under the nutritioning types. It's under the respiration, and they are aerobic bacteria. So we already know that all the 4 answers are wrong, so it's supposed to be 5. Though we don't know if this is the chemoheterotroph or not, this is the only answer left. So removing all the other answers that we already know, you can get the answer as 5, right? That is how you get the answer. So Acetobacter is a chemoheterotroph, right? A bacterium that exhibits obligate anaerobic respiration. There's only one we discussed, that is Clostridium, right? Clostridium. Select the false statement about fungi. The heterotrophic nutrition system is shown. Yes, they are heterotrophic. Fungi, all the fungi are heterotrophic, right? All the fungi are heterotrophic. And acts as a decomposer, yeah, that is also correct. Forms symbiotic associations, yeah, correct. Everything is multicellular? Well, multicellular. Everything is multicellular. Fungi, no, unicellular also there. The only example for unicellular fungi is yeast or the Saccharomyces, right? Is yeast, right? Yeast is a Saccharomyces. Yeast is Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and that is the only unicellular organism there, right? And release enzymes extracellularly. Release enzymes extracellularly. Well, release enzymes extracellularly is somewhat correct, right? Select the false statement about the fungi. Release enzymes extracellularly is correct, yes. A free living atmospheric nitrogen fixing bacterium. Free living, it should be free living atmospheric nitrogen fixing bacterium. So there were a number of free living Clostridium, Acetobacter, and there's another one. 3 of the answers, 3 of the examples were given: Acetobacter, Clostridium, Cyanobacteria, right? Cyanobacteria is the next one. So out of the answers, Salmonella, Acetobacter is there. So none of the others, I guess. Yeah, none of the others. So it's Acetobacter, the answer. A terrestrial anaerobic bacterium. Okay. Anyways, anaerobic bacteria. We don't care if it's terrestrial or not. Only anaerobic bacteria we know here is Clostridium. So that's the answer. 25. Which of the following is a symbiotic association? Symbiotic association, right? Having another relationship, not another relationship, having a relationship for the food and security with another species, right? Microorganisms that live on the surface of the human skin. Microorganisms that live on the surface of the human skin. Well. It's not symbiotic, isn't it? Living on the surface. It's not benefiting each other, right? No, it's not. Rhizobium, which lives in the root nodules of legume plants. Yeah, there is, but it's not free living. They are asking for the symbiotic association. Yeah, rhizobium is a symbiotic association. So when it comes to the rhizobium, you know, rhizobium lives in these root nodules that they produce. They take the atmospheric nitrogen and convert into ammonium ions that the plants can absorb. And the plants, for supporting the plants for the support, they provide the amount of food that they produce for the bacteria. So the bacteria is giving the nutritions that the plant can absorb, like nitrogen nutritions, that is very hard to find for the plants. And for that, the plant is providing the produced food, right? So there is a symbiotic relationship between them. Yeah, that is correct. Hookworms that live in the human body. No, that is parasitic. And orchids that grow attached to the bark of the tree. that's not actually, you know, symbiotic. Blue-green algae growing on the surface of the small pond, no. So the answer is 2, right? Answer is 2. Come to the next question, right? Which of the following is a characteristic property of fungi, right? Which of the following is a characteristic property of fungi? All shows a saprophyte. Keep that for a second. All are filamentous branching, no, that is wrong. All are decomposers, that is correct. Property of fungi, so this is correct. All are eukaryotic, that is also correct. All are multicellular, that is wrong. So is the question asking what is the which of the following is a characteristic property of fungi? Characteristic property. Well, the saprophytes mean like they secrete the enzymes on the dead bodies of the plants and animals, and they digest it. So that is also correct. They are saprophytes, like living on the surface of the dead plant and animal tissues. That is saprophyte, and that is correct. And so they are asking for the which of the following is a characteristic property of fungi. A characteristic property of fungi. Characteristic property of fungi. Well, now this is the thing, when it says characteristic means that it only is there in that under that, maybe that's called the fungi are one of the phylums, right? So if one of the characteristics are there only in that phylum, that only belongs to the fungi, you call it characteristic. You know, that is what you call characteristic. Characteristic mean it only belongs to that type of organisms. So out of the correct answers, all are saprophytes only belongs to the fungi, right? Like not all the bacteria are saprophytes. They like not all the bacteria are living on the surface of the dead and dead plant and animal tissues. All are decomposers. In protozoa are also decomposers, right? They are breaking down the organic matter, but they are not all living on the surface of the animal and plant dead tissues. All are eukaryotic is not only there for the funguses, right? Many of the all are eukaryotics are there. So it should be 1, right? Answer should be 1, saprophyte, right? The characteristic feature of fungi, you can call it, they are living on the dead and dead animal and plant bodies. Yeah, that is a characteristic. Shows eukaryotic organization. Eukaryotic, Acinetobacter wrong, Amoeba correct, Clostridium wrong, Muca correct, Chlamydomonas correct, right? So the answers are B, D and E, right? B, D and E. The answer is 3, B, D, E. Which of the following is not found in bacteria? Which of the following is not found in bacteria? Reserved food. Reserved food is which of the following is not found in bacteria? Reserved food. Well, which of the following is not found in bacteria? Reserved food is there. 2. Photosynthetic pigments not found in every bacteria. Membranous organelles? No. Units of locomotion there. Endosperms are also there. So out of 2 correct answers, which of the following is not found in bacteria? Photosynthetic pigments, there, not like it's not there in all of the bacteria, but when it comes to the cyanobacteria sort of ones, they have the pigments. So this is correct. It's not for all, but membranous organelles, none of the bacteria have it, right? So the answer is 3. Answer is 3. Choose the incorrect option. Virus, capsid. Virus have a capsid. That is correct. 2. Fungi has a mycelium. Correct. 3. Algae has a algae is a primary producer. That is correct. Bacteria have plasmids. Protozoa have pigments. That is wrong. Right? Choose the incorrect option. Yeah, the protozoa doesn't have pigments. The ones who are having pigments are supposed to photosynthesize. That is the main purpose of having pigments. The chlorophyll is one of the pigments, you know. So there are different other types of pigments as well, like xanthophyll. Then sort of different things are there, right? Ammonium ions into nitrite is converted by the first. That is the first step of nitrification, and that is done by the nitrosomonas, right? Pseudomonas denitrificans contribute to which step of natural nitrogen cycle? Pseudomonas denitrificans, the name itself has the, you know, the answer, denitrification, right? Fungi differs from bacteria in that fungi differs from bacteria, right? Because they are heterotrophic. No, even the bacteria, some of the bacteria are heterotrophic. Because they are microorganisms, no, both are microorganisms. Because they are pathogens. No, not all of the fungi and bacteria are not pathogens, but some of them are, yes. Because they are eukaryotic, no, the fungi is eukaryotic. Fungi are eukaryotic and the bacteria are prokaryotic. Because they are decomposers. Oh, even the bacteria are decomposers. Well, fungi differs from bacteria in that because they are heterotrophic. No. Because they are microorganisms? No. Because they are pathogens? No. Because they are eukaryotic. Yeah, this is the, I'm sorry. This is the reason, right? The bacteria, the fungi differs from bacteria because they are eukaryotic and the bacteria are prokaryotic. So this is the answer, right? So this is the answer. This is supposed to be the answer. That is correct. Which of the following is usually used to measure the size of a cell nucleus? Well, it should be in micrometers or nanometers. It's mostly the nanometers because the size of the cell is micrometers and the nucleus is smaller than that. It's either nanometers or micrometers. So it's supposed to be nanometers, right, in size. 34. Which of the following characteristic is common to all bacteria, fungi and viruses? Which of the following characteristics is common for all bacteria, fungi and viruses, right? The genetic material is DNA. Well, yeah, but some cases the viruses have RNA as well, but we'll keep it for a second. We'll keep it for a second. Not being autotrophic organisms. Not being autotrophic. Well. You can't tell bacteria are not autotrophic, right? Yeah, so not that answer. Can be studied with a light microscope. Now you cannot study viruses with light microscope. Being disease causing agents in plants and animals, no, not everyone are disease causing. Being the most widely distributed organisms in the biosphere, yeah, these are all like organisms widely distributed in the biosphere because they are microorganisms. But most widely distributed organisms in the biosphere, bacteria, fungi and viruses. You can take both the answers 1 and 5, but most correct answer is 5 because we can't take this because like the genetic material is DNA. When it comes to the viruses, some of the viruses are containing DNA, but some of the viruses are containing RNA. If you take all the other organisms except for the virus, they are all containing DNA. That is correct, right? That is correct. 35. Which of the following does not occur in the compost fertilizer production process? Right? Which of the following does not occur in the compost fertilizer production process? Okay. Dead plant matter, animal remains decomposed by natural microbial population. Yeah, that happens, right? Do not add non-biodegradable materials to the compost mixture. Yeah, that is also correct. accelerate decomposition by adding a little cow urine or urea in between. You actually do that, right? But we'll keep it for a second. Using the process of anaerobic microorganisms for decomposition, we don't do that, right? We use the aerobic, like aerobic respiration itself is breaking down the organic matter into simple products. So we use actually the aerobic respiration for the decomposition of the litter, right? So you don't use the anaerobic respiration in decomposing litter in compost production, right? So this is wrong. So that's supposed to be the answer. The mixture should be mixed constantly and water should be added to the mixture in between. Yeah, that is correct, right? So once a week you have to add water. That is correct. Which microbial strain is used in industrial wine production? Industrial wine production, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, right? Saccharomyces cerevisiae, yes. Which isn't a possible impact of untreated wastewater entering natural reservoirs? Spread of pathogenic microorganisms, that can happen. Which isn't a possible impact of wastewater. This is a impact. Water pollution can happen. Aerobic decomposition occurs. Well, keep it for a second, right? The aerobic decomposition reduces. That's what actually happens, because in the wastewater there can be much more number of anaerobic bacteria. So the aerobic decomposition rather than aerobic decomposition, the anaerobic respiration can happen there. So keep it for a second. Increased microbial population lead to increased BOD. That is correct. Increased microbial population leads to increased BOD, value of biological oxygen demand. That is correct, because when the microorganisms enter, the wastewater is entering for let's say any of the reservoir, this BOD is increasing. What is BOD? Biological oxygen demand, which means the amount of oxygen that it takes to completely decompose the organic matter in a unit volume of water, right? So BOD simply means how much of oxygen is needed to decompose the organic matter in the water. So if the oxygen demand is high, that means there is a higher number of organic matter in the water. Get my point? If the BOD is high, or the oxygen demand is high, that means there is a higher number of organic matter in the water, right? So what we all need to do is to reduce the BOD when it comes to the treatment of water, because we want to reduce the number of organic matter in the water, right? And now if the wastewater enters to a clean water reservoir, the BOD is supposed to be increasing, right? It's supposed to be increasing, yeah. So yeah, this is correct, right? This is correct. The release of foul smelling gases is also correct, right? So this is the wrong answer, right? Which isn't. Aerobic decomposition doesn't occur there, right? Right. So one of the main objectives of wastewater treatment plant is to removing turbidity from the water and making it transparent. Yeah, somewhat correct, right? Removing microorganisms from water. They are asking for the main, so this is correct, but we will find the main. Removing microorganisms from the water is also correct. That is the tertiary treatment. Reducing the viscosity of water and increasing the flow rate, yeah, that is also correct. Reduction of biochemical oxygen demand through the microbial decomposition, this is the main actual reason. Reducing the BOD is the given actual reason, right? Oxidation of waste materials in water by microorganisms. Oxidation of waste materials in water by microorganisms. That is not true, right? Oxidation of waste materials in water by microorganisms. No, right? No, right? 39. From which microorganisms is the BT, the Bacillus thuringiensis, gene inserted into plants such as corn, soy, cashew, to minimize the damage caused by insects obtained? That is Bacillus thuringiensis itself, like BT is Bacillus thuringiensis. Some microorganisms used in industries are shown below: Saccharomyces, Acetobacter, Lactobacillus, Penicillium. Which of the following is correct order of the industrial use, that is use the above microorganisms: alcohol production, vinegar production, dairy production and antibiotic production. So Saccharomyces, alcohol production correct, Acidobacter, vinegar production correct, Lactobacillus, dairy production correct, Penicillium, antibiotic, it's all correct in the first answer. So the first answer itself, yes. Right. The next question, 41. Which of the following microbial process is used to leaven flow in bread making? So it's simply in the bakery production, Saccharomyces, right? Yeah, using Saccharomyces for the softening of the dough. When are microorganisms not used for biotechnology? Okay, making yogurt from liquid milk. You use microorganisms, but that's not biotechnology. Let's keep it for a second. Production of alcohol from coconut flower juice. You are using microorganisms, but not biotechnology. The effectiveness of BCG vaccine in human to prevent tuberculosis. That is biotechnology, and using microorganisms, that is correct. Then the others. Production of honey and jaggery from coconut flower sap. No, you don't use microorganisms for that, right? Whereas you just cut it and open to a pot, that's all. Production honey and jaggery from flower sap. So honey and jaggery production, we don't use any of the microorganisms, right? That is wrong. Production of vinegar using ethyl alcohol, yeah, the microorganisms are used. So all those answers, they somehow get the use of the microorganisms. The only answer that the microorganisms are not used is the fourth answer, but these are not biotechnology anyways. The third answer is biotechnology, that is correct. But as per the answers, the answer which does not contain any of the microorganisms in their process is the fourth answer, right? It's the fourth answer. So we will take the fourth answer. Which of the following is not produced using genetic engineering? Insulin is produced in genetic engineering. Why would someone produce cholesterol in genetic engineering, right? So answer is 3. Hepatitis B vaccine, blood clotting factor, yeah, they are all produced. Which of the following is not a reason for using microorganisms in biotechnology? Not a reason, right? They are asking a not a reason. Microorganisms are organisms that are invisible to the naked eye. That is not a reason. I mean, them to not to take to the biotechnology. Ability to work on a variety of profitable raw materials, that is correct. That is a reason, not they are asking for a not a reason, right? The metabolic process of microorganisms occur under mild conditions, that is correct. No accumulation of environmental pollutants due to biochemical process, correct. Quickly turning raw materials into products in the yeah. So the answer is supposed to be this, right? There is no point that you do not take not like microorganisms because they cannot be seen to the naked eye. You can use a microscope or something, right? We have the processes. So not a reason is 1. Yeah. So the not a reason is 1, right? 45. The most important factor that causes the omnipresence of microorganisms is, right? The most important factor that causes omnipresence of the microorganisms is rapid growth and reproductive capacity. Yeah, that is correct. Wide morphological and physiological diversity, that is correct. Most important factor, nutritional diversity, all are correct, I think. High surface area to the volume ratio due to the small size. The ability to evolve in parallel with large organisms by establishing, yeah, that is also correct. So the most important one is the first one, what? The surface area to the volume ratio, AB ratio. That is important because of that the absorption rate increases, as we discussed. When the surface area increases, the absorption increases, therefore the growth rate increases, and because of the high growth rate they become mature quickly and they reproduce. So the majority, the major things are depending on the AV ratio. So it's fourth answer, right? The answer is 4. 46. Which of the following is less than 100 nanometers in size? Which of the following is less than 100 nanometers in size? Less than 100 nanometers, huh? Well, okay. Nucleus, mycoplasma, ribosome, bacteria, mitochondria. The smallest thing is ribosome. So hopefully ribosome, right? Less than 100, because that is the smallest thing that we know out of this. It's very small, ribosome. 47. Although they use light as an energy source in their food synthesis, they do not use carbon dioxide as a carbon resource. So there's a tricky part there. Although they use light as an energy source, they are using light as an energy source. Their energy source is light, so they are photo. They do not use carbon dioxide as carbon source. They do not use, which means they use organic carbon, so they are hetero. So they are photoheterotrophs, right? Two of the photoheterotrophs are there: purple non-sulfur bacteria and green non-sulfur bacteria. And the only green non-sulfur bacteria is given as the answer. 5. 48. Which of the following diagrams represent the shape of the microorganisms commonly used as a biological insecticide, which is BTI, Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria. So bacillus is the shape itself, right? Right. The shape itself is the bacillus. Answers are not there. 48. No, answers are not given. The answer is bacillus, because the name itself tells the name bacillus, right? Rod shape. Which of the following pairs of statements regarding the use of microorganisms in industry is incorrect? BCG vaccine, Mycobacterium tuberculosis is correct. Lysine amino acid, Corynebacterium glutamicum. Yeah, even that is correct. Lysine production is done by the Corynebacterium glutamicum. Penicillin antibiotic, Penicillium notatum correct. Vinegar, Acidobacter, right? Not Saccharomyces. But in one of the steps, the Saccharomyces is there, but not directly. Buffalo milk, lactobacillus correct. So answer is this, but in one step Saccharomyces is still there though, right? But the direct should be the Acidobacter, because Acidobacter is the one who is responsible to produce acetic acid, which is vinegar, using alcohol, right? But the Saccharomyces helps in one of the steps, right? 50th question, bacteria, fungi and algae common structure is. Bacteria, fungi and algae common structure they are asking, right? Bacteria, fungi and algae common structure. Right. Cell wall is there. Yes. Organization of the, come to the second one, reserved food. Reserved food is even there in bacteria, fungi and algae. Plasma membrane, yeah, most common one is plasma membrane out of all, because plasma membrane is there in everyone. Bacteria, fungi and algae is like the plasma membrane is same, like the same plasma membrane, phospholipid bilayer is there in all of them. 51. Which of the following microorganism is not photosynthetic? Okay. So oscillatory nostoc is one of the algae, so keep it. Not photosynthetic. Rhizobium cannot be photosynthetic, right? Because rhizobium is there in the root nodules. So inside the root nodules you don't get the light, right? So rhizobiums anyways can't be. So the direct answer should be rhizobium. You have to think logically. 52. Which step is not included in the compost production process? Spray water to the spray water to maintain humidity at 40 to 65. Spray hot water to maintain the temperature at 43 to 65. Correct. To maintain the carbon nitrogen ratio at 30 to 1 by dry weight and add urea, leguminous plants, parts or cow urine. That is correct. Turn compost pile occasional to maintain 5% of oxygen concentration. Correct. Sprinkle a little of the produced compost onto the material to be decomposed part. That is correct. Which of the steps include the compost production process? Is not included. Okay. Spray water to maintain humidity at 40 to 65. Yeah, that is somewhat correct. Spraying hot water to maintain the temperature is also correct. Carbon nitrogen ratio is also 30:1. Add urea, leguminous plants, part of how you read. Is correct. Turn the compost pile occasionally to maintain the 5% oxygen concentration. Sprinkle a little of the produced compost onto the materials to be decomposed fast. That is also correct. Well, spraying hot water. Bro, I'm sorry, I didn't see this. Spraying hot water, right? You can't spray hot water, like there's no point spraying hot water. The temperature itself is rising because of the action of the microorganisms, right? You don't have to, spray hot water to that. That is wrong. 53. The incorrect pair regarding sterilization technique is. The incorrect pair regarding the sterilization technique. Okay, incorrect pair regarding the sterilization. Right, ultraviolet rays with a wavelength of 260 nanometers, operating rooms. Yeah, you can take that, but we'll keep it for a second. Incorrect pair regarding the sterilization, yes. Blood plasma, membrane filters, that is correct. You can use the membrane filters to, completely get rid of the microorganisms. Basically the bacteria, because this range is bacteria size. That is correct. You can't get rid of the virus using that, but one of the sterilization technique, correct. Microbial culture medium, pressure cooker for 15 minutes, even that is correct. Milk and fruit juice, pasteurized at 70 degrees 15 minutes. Okay, that is correct. Glassware, place as 100 degrees Celsius for 1 to 2 hours, even correct. The incorrect pair regarding sterilization technique. So you can't completely sterile blood by just membrane filtering, because the bacteria will filter, but not the others. Microbial culture medium, pressure cooker for 15 minutes. Can take the incorrect pair regarding the sterilization. Okay, ultra rays. Yeah, can take microbial culture medium, pressure cooker 15 minutes. Milk and fruit juice, pasteurized at 72 degrees of Celsius for 15 minutes. Glassware, place at 160 degrees for 1 to 2 hours. Well, I think this is not complete sterilization, so answer supposed to be that, because you can't completely sterilize. Sterilize means like removing all the microorganisms and their spores and everything from a surface, right? That is sterilization. You can't do that. 54. Genetic engineering is not a practice, right? Genetic engineering is not a practice. Using the gene of the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis to impart insect resistance to the plant such as corn. Yeah, that is correct. That is one of the genetic engineering practice. Inserting genes that confer resistance to certain diseases into the human genome. Yeah, you can't, but no, this is wrong. You can't enter genes to the human genome. That is illegal. You can't, genetically change or do the experiments on human mutations. You can't literally do that, right? That is illegal. So yeah, you can't do this. That is wrong, right? It's not in practice for the human. You can't do genetic engineering on humans. It's illegal, right? 55. The adverse effects that may occur due to the release of untreated water into reservoirs are increased biological oxygen demand. Yeah, that is the answer. That was there in the previous questions as well, right? Right. Factors does not affect by humus to agricultural soil in cultivation. Optimal water retention, they are asking does not affected by, right? Optimal water retention is there. Regulating pH with an optimal range is there. Improve soil structure is there. Regulating soil temperature is there. Preventing mineral erosion is there. That is not there, no. Factor does not affect by humus. This one. Regulating temperature, they don't regulate the temperature, but temperature is increasing. 40 to 45 to 60, 65 of a temperature is there. That is because of the exothermic reactions that happens due to the bacterial action or the microbial action, but it's not regulated. You know, you can't regulate it, it's just there. All the others are correct, right? You can regulate the temperature, that is wrong. Improving soil structure, regulating pH, that is we called as buffer, right? That is a buffer action. Optimal water retention, yeah, all are correct, but not regulating the temperature. You can't regulate the temperature, but there's a certain temperature there due to the microbial action, that is correct, but it's not regulating. Like if the temperature goes down, the system or the humus does not increase it by itself. So like if it is controllable, which means if it goes down, it has to reduce it, and if it goes up, it has to if it goes down, you have to increase it. If it goes up, it has to decrease it. So it doesn't happen there. None of the controls happen there. So answer is 4. Right. 57. The statement that is not relevant to the toddy production. We'll finish by 60. Yeah. The statement that is not relevant to the toddy production, the raw material for it is mead, that is the phloem juice, contains about 50% sucrose, correct. This process is primarily caused by bacterium and secondarily by fungus, that is also correct. The maximum alcohol percentage that can be obtained from the fermentation process is 7%, not 17%. So the answer should be 3, right? Yeah. Answer should be 3. 58. Alcohol beverages are bottled airtight at the end of the production to prevent the fermentation processing from continuing, correct. Prevent the formation of precipitates, no. To prevent the production of sour drinks due to the acid activity of bacteria such as Acetobacter. The same, right? Now the fermentation doesn't continue anyways, so this is the correct answer, that like to avoid its converting into vinegar. This is somewhat correct than this one. To prevent excess carbon dioxide from accumulating, no. To prevent pH value, no. So the answer is 3. Which of the following combination of diseases and microorganisms is incorrect for bacterial infections? Which of the following combination of diseases and microorganisms is incorrect for bacterial infections? Right. Tetanus, Clostridium tetani, correct. Diarrhea, Escherichia coli, correct. Tuberculosis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, correct. Vibrio cholerae, cholera. Typhoid fever, Salmonella typhus. Now all are seems to be correct, but yeah, it seems to be all are correct there, right? This is all are correct. This all are correct. 60. Which of the following does not occur during primary treatment in the wastewater treatment process? Removing light floating materials such as leaf litter, that is correct. Allowing non-floating materials such as sand, rock, soil, etc. to settle at the bottom of the tank, that is correct. Supplying conditions to anaerobic digestion. Supplying conditions to anaerobic digestion, no, that is wrong, right? They are supplying conditions to aerobic digestion. To promote aerobic microbial decomposition, correct. Removal of about 25 to 30% of the organic matter in the water, that is also correct. Yeah, so the wrong answer is supplying conditions to anaerobic digestion is wrong. They are supplying conditions to aerobic digestion, right? So yeah, so that is all the questions up to now, right? So guys, study well. I'll see you the next week. Hi. What happened last week?